Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Liz, and for today's video I'm going to share with you several Christmas tree DIYs or just in general tree holiday DIYs that you guys can make and put around your home. Today's also a part of a collab with several super talented ladies here on YouTube, so once you're done here, make sure that you click that playlist link in my description box so that you guys can get even more Christmas inspiration. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our first DIY. For this DIY, you are gonna need a pack of shims from your local Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever hardware store. You wanna get a pack of shims, and you are going to take out a handful of them. I didn't count how many I used. You'll just grab as many as how big you want your tree to be. All I'm going to do is just hot glue them together, as simple as that, making sure the thicker part is all connected at the bottom and the skinnier part of the shims are all going to be connected at the top. That's all you got to do. Just keep hot gluing your pieces together over and over and over again until you get the thickness that you want your tree to be. Next, I am going to take one of these pillar pieces that actually came off of a tiered tray from Goodwill, and I've had this sitting around in my collection forever, so I decided to use it for this project. I'm going to paint it a white with a couple of good coats, and then I'm going to take this scrap wood piece that actually came from the Dollar Tree, and this is just going to be the base to give it a nice stand. I'm going to let those dry, and then I'm going to move on to our tree portion, which I'm going to paint with the Waverly chalk paint in moss, and I just gave this a really rough coat. I didn't bother trying to cover the entire thing. I wanted this to look rustic and farmhouse, so I did not cover everything up. Then I'm just going to take some hot glue on my little pillar piece and hot glue that down to the middle of our scrap wood. And then I'm going to take this star that I got in a pack from Hobby Lobby. I'm just taking the little ring off the top, and then I'm just going to hot glue this to the top of my tree. And then I'm going to grab some red glittery berry garland that I believe I got from Dollar Tree, either Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby, one of the two. But I'm going to grab this and wrap it around my tree, and then I'll just hot glue that in place, and then I will just add some hot glue to the pillar and add my tree on top, and that is it for this DIY. I thought this turned out super cute, and it was super easy and simple to do. Even if you don't have one of these little pillar pieces like I have, you could use a large dowel. You could go to Lowe's and pick up a leg and cut it down. You could go to Hobby Lobby and get one of their unfinished candlestick holders. So many different options and ways that you could do this DIY. For this DIY, I grabbed one of these trees that you can get from the Target dollar spot. It was only $3, and I love that this could be a double-sided sign. So for the one side that looks like natural wood look to it, I am going to take some Chalkboard transfers to it. I loved the pattern on this transfer. Now, normally when I have these really large transfers, I'll buy two of them so that I can have one of them to cut apart to use on smaller DIY projects. That way, I'm not trying to use this whole big transfer on just a small DIY project that I'm doing. So I'm just going to cut out a section of it so that it's small enough to use for my project. And I'm going to fuzz and fuzz and fuzz the back of my transfer to make sure it's not too sticky. And then I'm going to just place it on top of my tree. If you're ever curious about Chalkboard, I always have a link in the description box. I am a designer with them, and I absolutely love their products. They've also been having really good sales for the month of November. So if you've ever wanted to try them out, I'd say now is the time to do so. If you go to their website and then click on specials, every Monday they do a new sale and a new mystery box, which I think is really fun, and you're getting really good deals. So check there if you want to see some sales. If you've ever wanted to try them out and just haven't, I would definitely check them out. They've got some really good deals. I've snagged up a bunch. I've spent way too much money, but I'm obsessed, and it's a healthy habit. It's like therapy for me. So, I'm just paying my therapy. So I just went in with one of their glitter green colors that I think is super gorgeous for Christmas. And what I'm going to do is layer my transfer. So I'm going to make that this chalk paste completely dries before I move on to the next one. And I am going to cut the Noel portion of this transfer out, and I'm going to use that on top. So just following that same process, fuzzing the back of your transfer till it is no longer extremely sticky. And then I am going to very lightly run my fingers along the words. I don't want any of that other chalk paste to pill up, so I'm just being really, really careful. And then I'm going to go in with this glittery red chalk paste for the word Noel, and then I will lift that up. And that's it for this one. This is super fast and super easy, and I just think that this turned out super cute. I'm going to have to think of another one to do on the other side and have a little reverse tree sign. For this DIY, I am going to grab 2 of these little palette pieces that you can get from the Dollar Tree. What I'm going to do is give them both one good coat of the Waverly chalk paint and plaster, and I make sure to get all in between each little slat and the back pieces so that you aren't seeing any of that natural wood poking through. Once those are dry, I'm going to use some of my gel super glue, and I am going to attach the 2 pieces together. Now, one option for this DIY is you can take these wired garland ties that you can get in a pack from the Dollar Tree, or you can go a different route, which is what I did. I got this big long garland from Hobby Lobby. I like that this one is thinner and skinnier than the Dollar Tree ones. So what I'm going to do is just cut off about 2-inch pieces, and I didn't count how many I did, but I probably, to guess, would say maybe 20 2-inch pieces. And I just grabbed a handful and I'm going to bunch them all together. And then I'm going to take some floral wire and I am just going to tie them all together at the top with that wire. We're going to do this 3 times, with each set having less pieces than the last. So we are making a little Christmas tree. So you want it fuller at the bottom, and then mediocre in the middle, and then fewer at the top. So you just want to do this 3 times, and then once you have all 3 of your pieces, you are going to start hot gluing them down. So I just hot glue my bottom set towards the bottom, and then my middle set, you're going to hot glue it so that the pieces are covering up the part where you twisted them all together. And then you're just going to do that same exact thing for the 3rd set. And then this is nice because all the pieces have wire in them. You can manipulate them to be exactly how you want them to be. Now I'm going to take one of these stem pieces that you can get in a pack from the Dollar Tree. This one specifically was from Hobby Lobby in a pack, but you can get them from both places. I just cut it down to the size that I wanted it with my miter shears, put a little hot glue on the top, and then pushed it into the bottom of my tree. Now I'm going to take some buffalo check ribbon and I'm going to make 2 loops, and I'm going to tie them together just like you would your shoes. And I am going to add this bow to the top of my tree. I just kind of manipulate the loops as I want them to however big I want my bow to be. And then, like I said, hot glue it to the top of my tree, and that is it for this DIY. If you guys are new here, hey, my name is Liz. I love all things DIY and crafting. I do a ton of different types of DIYs here on my channel. Got a broad range of just a little bit of everything. And also, if you guys didn't know, I do make and sell wood craft kits over on my website, which is just moorevinyldecals.com. I'll always have a link in my description box. These are kits that you guys can paint and put together just the way that you like them. I think they're super fun. And like I said, the link is always in the description box. And because we're jumping into the holiday season, let me know what your favorite holiday tradition is in the comments down below. I love to hear them. I love listening to all the different types of traditions that everybody has. And now without further ado, let's jump into our next DIY. For this DIY, I'm going to take 4 of these Dollar Tree chalkboard signs. What I'm going to do is remove the little stand from the back. They pop off pretty easily, and I'm going to hot glue them all together. So I just start by hot gluing 2 together, and then the other 2 together, and then I will hot glue those 2 sets of 2 together. So they are all nice and stuck together. And then to reinforce them a little bit, I'm just going to use the popsicle sticks on the back where those seams are so that it is nice and sturdy. Now I'm going to take my Waverly Wax and Antique, and I'm going to use that as a stain for all the natural wood portion of my project. I'm not going to paint the middle where the chalkboard is, just that outside wood portion. Now, I got a pack of these tree ornaments from Hobby Lobby. They were $3.99 and they are on sale. So I probably paid $2 for all of these. And what I'm going to do is just hot glue them right into the middle of each frame. And that's all you got to do for this DIY. I love how farmhouse and rustic this looks. It's one of my favorites from today's projects. I just think it turned out super cute. For this DIY, I had this unfinished sign that I actually got from Goodwill in a pack, but I know that this came from Joann's. So I'm just going to start by using my Waverly Wax and Antique to stain the frame portion and the back of the sign. Once that is all done, I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint and plaster, and I'm going to go over the entire middle with 2 good coats of paint. Next, I am going to take these paint stir sticks that came in a pack from Walmart. Now, my miter shears aren't quite strong enough to cut through these super easy, but they can cut through them enough where I can kind of bend it back and forth and snap it apart. So I'm going to cut this down into 4 separate pieces, each piece being smaller than the last piece. Once I've got all 4 of my pieces, I'm going to take some scrapbook paper that I got in a couple different packs from Hobby Lobby. Michael's also has some really good packs out. I was just there today and saw them and refrained from buying them until they're on sale, but they have some really cute packs there as well. Once I have my scrapbook paper out, all I'm going to do is trace my pieces out on my scrapbook paper, a different one for each piece. I'm going to take a glue stick and glue all 4 pieces of my scrapbook paper to my little paint stir stick pieces. Then I'm just going to line them up and hot glue them down in my sign. I purposely made them all a little bit crooked and just hot glued them all down. And then I also made a simple bow using some Dollar Tree gold satin ribbon, added a silver jingle bell to the middle of my bow. hot glued a little piece of a wood stem down to the bottom of my tree, and that is it for this DIY. For this DIY, I had a 2x2 piece of wood that I cut down into some blocks. You could also use Dollar Tree's unfinished blocks if you can find them. I wasn't able to at this point, so I just cut some down myself. I'm going to paint one of the blocks with my Waverly chalk paint and moss, one of them in my Waverly chalk paint in white, and the third one in my Waverly chalk paint in steel. And then I also grabbed one of these Dollar Tree wood trees, and I'm just also going to paint that in my Waverly chalk paint in moss. So I'm going to make these look like presents. So what I did was take an acrylic paint marker. This is actually an Arteza one, which I love. If you're ever looking for some good acrylic markers, I would highly recommend Arteza's. And I'm just going to draw some stripes on each side, and then on the top, I will draw a cross stripe where the stripes, meet in the middle, so that it looks like you've wrapped ribbon around your presents. And then I'll just stack my blocks on top of each other, just hot gluing them all down on top of each other. Then I will take this out to the garage, drill a hole in it big enough to fit a dowel from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to stain that dowel in my Waverly Wax and Antique, add some hot glue to the hole in the top present, and stick my dowel right inside that hole. Next, I'm just going to add some hot glue to the top of the dowel and add that tree onto my dowel. And then for a little extra support, I added some hot glue and some ribbon to the back just to make sure that that tree is going to stay in place. And then I just took some red ribbon that I had, tied another simple bow with it, added some hot glue onto the back, and placed it right on that top present against that dowel. And then lastly, I'm just going to add one of these stars that come in a pack from Dollar Tree to the top of my tree, and that is it for this DIY. And that's it for today's video. Let me know what your favorite project was in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to click that playlist so that you can go watch all the other ladies' videos and get even more Christmas inspiration, see what they made. Don't forget to subscribe before you guys leave. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!